Wow, you have Senator Mark Kelly saying it's appropriate for the police to step in when campus protesters are doing unlawful acts. Well, according to the House bill that was recently passed, just speaking out against the Israeli government is unlawful enough for the police to arrest you because it's considered an anti-Semitic hate crime to speak out against the policies of the Israeli government. Uh, this is just going to show how much people in Congress are trying to silence those speaking out against the Israeli government. I wonder how they feel about the thousands of Israelis that speak out against the Israeli government, the Israelis that seek Netanyahu resign and want the Israeli government to accept a ceasefire deal with Hamas.
Everybody has the right to protest peacefully. But when it turns into unlawful acts, we've seen this in a number of colleges and universities, including here in Arizona, it's appropriate for the police to step in.
I want to get your reaction to
I wonder if he thinks it's appropriate for cops to shoot protesters like they did at Kent State.
how some Republicans are describing these protesters. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik said Columbia leadership, quote, has lost complete control of the pro-Hamas anti-Semitic mob. Senator Marco Rubio called the protesters anti-Semitic zombies. Senator Tom Cotton referred to the protesters as pro-Hamas sympathizers, fanatics, and freaks. What is
It's funny how these Republicans are now screaming about anti-Semitism when before this they had no racism. When Marjorie Taylor Greene said that Jews were using space lasers to start forest fires, these people said nothing. When Nazis march in the streets screaming that Jews will not replace them, these people said nothing. When Trump had a dinner with an um, openly self-proclaimed neo-Nazi, they didn't say nothing about that. When Kanye West spoke about how much he loved Hitler and how Jews control the world in Hollywood, these people, again, said nothing. But the moment you speak out against the Israeli government, that's when these people care about anti-Semitism.
your reaction to hearing those descriptions of the protesters?
Well, some of these protesters aren't even students, right? I mean, we know that they're showing up on campuses and they're becoming involved. And when they cross a line and when they commit crimes, they should be arrested. That's the appropriate thing
What crimes are you talking about, though? Like, name the crimes.
to do. We saw that in Tucson, Arizona, at the University of Arizona, where Gabby and I live. Just the other day. I don't think it's helpful for anybody, especially in a leadership position, to say things that are escalatory. I'm not suggesting that every one of those.
And obviously not true. What about all the Jewish students at these colleges that are protesting against the Israeli government? Are they anti-Semitic because they're speaking out against the Israeli government? And again, how is it anti-Semitic to speak out against a government? It's not racist to speak out against what the Chinese government does. It's not racist to speak out against what the Saudi Arabian government does, but somehow it's racist to speak out against the Israeli government.
Things were. In some cases, I think I agree with some of that sentiment.
What do you agree with?
Well, I mean, you have some individuals, a certain group of them, that show up to peacefully protest, and then you have others that want conflict, and in some cases have even assaulted police officers, and those individuals need to be dealt with appropriately. And
Like who's assaulted police officers? These people that are fully armored, carrying long guns, in riot, shooting flashbang grenades and rubber bullets at people. I mean, that's the real assault there, especially since they're tackling and arresting people, just doing nothing but peacefully protesting. Uh, it seems like too many of these politicians cares too much about, the very little that happens to these cops and don't care that these cops are actually being used to silence people's freedom of speech. This Democrat honestly doesn't care about freedom of speech.
Students on campus should be able to go to classrooms, get their education, not be intimidated. And the rising anti-Semitism that we've seen is of great concern for me.
Is it truly? Like, what about the anti-Semitism towards Jewish students protesting against the Israeli government? You got the New York saying that George Soros is funding all these protests in the United States against the Israeli government. Uh, but a anti-Semitic conspiracy theory usually thrown around by right-wing Nazis. You know how they always say Jews control the world, Jews control Hollywood, blah blah blah. Um, why don't you speak out against that? Why don't you speak out against people calling the anti-war protesters fake Jews or self-hating Jews when you have people on the right slinging that around, which is again pretty anti-Semitic to call a Jewish person a fake Jew just because they don't support the Israeli government. That's like saying Catholic is a fake Catholic just because they don't support what the Vatican does.
And I think it